professionalism, understand your role as a new official, understand how to manage various aspects of the game, and challenging ourselves to improve the areas that we need to, as far as what is our weakness. So professionalism, there are 5 P's. The 5 P's of professionalism are proper preparation prevents poor performance. What is professionalism? I know that there's a statement up here that you guys can read, and I don't need to dictate it to you guys, but what do you guys think professionalism involves? What does it mean to be professional?
Fair and honest.
Honest?
Fair.
I mean, it
not getting
starts
into
from
it
being,
with the parents.
it starts from being on time. It starts from being prepared. It starts from looking the part. It starts from making sure that when you walk on the field that you look like you want to be there. Those are the things, you know, when you present yourself in a way that demonstrates that you want to be there, that demonstrates you're prepared for the game and that you've mentally prepared yourself for the game. That's a layer of professionalism that you need to show and demonstrate when you're out there. Obviously, we are looking to always maintain our composure. We're always looking to be unbiased, and we are always keeping and honoring the integrity and respecting the game. You know, there are plenty of times that there are plenty of people that have called me, "Hey, coach," because I've been their lacrosse coach or whatever out there. And it is, when you're on the field, it makes sure that they understand it is Mr. Official. It is not anything. It's not, "Hey, Steve," or anything like that. No matter what kind of friendship or relationship you have with someone, you want to make sure that your ethics never come into question. As I said, your appearance before you get to the field. Have you checked your bag? Your first impressions are going to speak volumes. Are you ready to go? Did you check your bag the night before? Do you have all the things that you need? Is there anything else that extra? Do you have a backup to your backup? Are you ready to go? Are you physically ready to go? Are you in shape? Are you not in shape? Are you able to referee the game in a manner that doesn't look like you're pissed off all the time? I will tell you, I have a hard time with that. I've done too many games, and I have had, it takes a lot to get me to smile sometimes when I referee. I just kind of keep a straight face, and that's me. But are you able to help yourself maintain your composure when you're out there with your mannerisms and your mental state? So the way that you carry yourself and how you appear to others is something that you need to keep in mind as you start on this venture of being an official. Your uniform, always dress the part. Matching the uniforms, matching shirts. Everybody's wearing the same color shirts. Everybody's got black shorts on, black belt, black socks, ankle socks, black shoes, black hat with white piping, whistles. You know, it says there Fox 40. That's the finger whistle. I kind of prefer the finger whistle more than I do. And I went over this with you guys on lessons 1 through 3. Do you have 2 flags? Do you have a 20-second timer? Your tape measure? When you guys are out there, making sure that everybody has their shirts tucked in, making sure that nobody's laces are untied, making sure that everyone knows that who the crew chief is, and the crew chief has spoken to the captains and to the coaches and gone over everything, speaking in a very clear, concise voice, and making sure that everyone walks away from all of your meetings in a very understanding what's going to be going on throughout the game. And weather in South Carolina changes a lot. So normally when you have your conversation pregame with your referee, they're going to tell you, I know I'll always tell my crew, bring everything. Bring your long pants, bring your jacket. You can always leave it in the car. You don't need to take it out with you. So be prepared for any kind of weather in the area. And since there are numerous different patches, I do suggest, as it says here, to kind of put Velcro on those patches for your USA lacrosse patch, for which we are going to be getting those, for your South Carolina lacrosse officials patch, for your American flag patch. That way, when you take them off, you can then wash your shirt and not smell so bad. Uniforms, okay? Black coats, they don't necessarily need to be all identical coats, but they all need to be black coats. Black gloves, if you're going to be wearing gloves, black neck covering, if you're going to be wearing neck coverings, anything that you're going to be wearing that is an optional item for the uniform, it should be black. You know, at one point, people were wearing, and there was a time, unfortunately, where we were using electric whistles and wearing black masks over our faces. Thank God those days are long since gone. So make sure that if one person's wearing gloves, you guys are all wearing gloves, and try to limit the amount of gear you're going to bring out to the field and keep at the scorer's table, just because you don't want to spend so much time kind of gathering up all your stuff. The reason you don't want to spend a lot of time gathering up all your stuff is because that team that just lost is going to start coming over to you and getting involved and making their comments. So after the game, grab what you got to grab, and you walk off the field as a team. You walk to the field as a team, and you walk off the field as a team. Wait for your crew in the parking lot, so that way you guys walk out together. If one person's going to be late, then you're all going to be late. Okay. Now, does it really matter? Yeah, it matters. It absolutely matters. Proper coordination, proper color codes, everything. It matters the way you look. You can see in some of these pictures. At one point, though, we did wear those white shorts with the high knee socks. Some of you guys may remember that. You know, in those youth games, in the bottom picture, you're still wearing black socks. You're not wearing basketball socks. You're still wearing black socks. We want to make sure we take the game seriously, take our job seriously. As I said before, making sure we're prepared. We want to respect the coaches. We want to respect the players, our partners, and honor the game. A neat, professional-looking uniform instills trust and confidence in yourself, your partner, coaches, players, and fans. I think that some of us here are old enough to remember. I'm losing the who was the comedian that always said, "You look marvelous." Kind of go out there and try to look marvelous, guys. Try to make sure you go out there and you look marvelous. After the game, your uniform, when you're done, take it off. You don't want to be sitting around, whether you're in the parking lot, whether you go out to a bar, whatever you do afterwards with your partners, smoking cigarettes, you know, etc., smoking cigars. Take your uniform off. Make sure there's nothing that says SCLOA. Make sure there's nothing that's got black and white stripes. They're still going to know that you're an official, but just respect the uniform, respect what the position is of authority, and continue to demonstrate that you're able to maintain your composure in all social situations whatsoever. You know, when you leave, sometimes in the tournaments, there's always going to be a gathering in the parking lot. All right. When you do these high school games, if you're going to gather, plan on going to somewhere else. That I know I do with my crew. Hey guys, after the game, hop in your car and then just shoot on off, and we go to whatever bar we're going to go have dinner at, and we undress and do everything there in the parking lot, as opposed to doing it right there in the parking lot of the school, just to kind of go and get out of the area. So just try to make sure that you're spending as little time as you can after the game in and around the area. There may be some times after games when there are some things that have gone on in the game that require you to get the names and numbers of the players for you to do your report. If that's the case, that's still all part of the game. The game's not complete till you've gotten all that information. So, but after you've gotten that, get out of Dodge, fellas. All right. Conditioning. There isn't a single one of us here that I think is going to be able to really keep up with high school athletes. I know I can't. I know I do the best I possibly can and try to maintain whatever I can, whenever I can. And you'll find out how quick it is that you can think that you're in good shape, but you're really not in good shape. You want to be able to focus on the calls, not on the fact that you're sucking wind. You want to be able to keep up with play. You want to be able to be in position to always make the right call. And you want to be able to minimize your injuries. If you're out of shape and you're huffing and puffing and you're leaning over, getting cramps, those are the things that are going to start moving into other body parts, and you're going to start finding yourselves getting pulled muscles here and there. It is easier to make calls when you aren't out of breath. Right now, I know I haven't ran in a while myself. However, I'm heading up to New Jersey on Monday, and I'm going to be refereeing in 14 days, 44 hockey games. I'm going to get into shape real fast, real hard for lacrosse season. The only thing that hockey allows me to do is I can glide into position as opposed to lacrosse. There's no way I can glide into position in lacrosse. So being in position, being in shape to be in position matters a lot. When you're tethering on the goal line, moving in and out on the goal line, having to do that multiple times, when the ball's down and it's going up and down the field on a lot of fast breaks and a two-man crew, you're going to be doing some running. You're going to be doing some counting. You'd be amazed at how much counting and running and watching play and doing probably 4 things at one time are going to take your breath away as much as it's going to. So my suggestion is to start on some cardiovascular conditioning and getting yourself ready to be moving and running up and down the field. Game shape. What does it mean to be in game shape? Being able to have endurance. The youth games, you're going to usually run 2 to 3 miles. High school games, you're going to usually run 3 to 5 miles. College games, you're going to usually run 5 to 7 miles. You need to know whether or not you're able to keep up with the players, the speed of the game. Are you able to cheat? Are you able to read the play and move into the position that you need to? One of the things that you need to be able to do is, as I said earlier in our classes, is dead ball officiate and start running to where you need to run to before the play gets there. Dead ball officiating is where you're going to do most of your sprinting, is during dead ball situations. Your agility. Are you able to get out of the way of that face-off? Are you able to move in and out as if your goal line extended as the play's moving away from you, moving closer to you? Are you able to dodge that shot that comes and bounces off the goalpost? You know, how agile are you? Being in lacrosse shape is different than getting just jogging on a treadmill. When I do get myself into running shape, I usually try to do 20-yard sprints. That's kind of what I'm looking to do, because if you break up the field, you're breaking it up into 20-yard sections throughout the entire field. So if I'm able to run a good hard sprint in 20 yards, and then I start building that up and building it up, and then I'll increase it and increase it. In addition to that, I'll also do some backpedaling, and I'll do some karaoke steps to try to work my footwork and work my agility before each and every single game. So that's pretty much what that high intensity interval training is going to be. The run and gun offense is the new norm. So you need to be able to keep up with that pace and move and run with the athlete as best as you can. Hopefully I don't know whether Ryan, I can do this game shape, this video. I think there's a video here. Yeah, I can't do this game shape video here.
You want me to share real quick and then I can play the video, then we can go back to yours?
Yeah, that's fine. So this is a video of being in game shape. Ryan's gonna be pulling it up so that way we can see, are you able to keep up with this play? I'll tell you that there was a time when I went to college camp, and when I was trying out and I got stuck on single side, we did 30-minute halves. All right, and I got stuck on single side with no goals being scored for 17 minutes, running up and down the field, no goals scored, and I had to run inside the box to inside the box, up and down the field. Believe it or not, because of that situation, the trainers there and the evaluators there took notice, and that was how I was able to start my career as being a college official. Yeah. Look at that guy run, hustling, trying to keep up with those guys. No way he's going to anticipate that interception, but he kept on running in all the way through the play. All right. The interception happened, and then he just kept on running. I know he was going to get outbeaten by the player, but the play became a little settled, but he still kept on running full speed through the play, past it, and was down there at goal line extended when he needed to be. So that's what we need to be able to do as officials in our games. Situations like that is where we need to be prepared for and be ready for. Once that play settles down, that doesn't mean that we as officials settle down. That means that we keep getting ourselves to the position where the ball is going to be. And if that means sprinting still, then that means sprinting still. You guys got it? All right.
All right, Steve, I'm gonna stop and then you can switch over.
Yep. I got to share my screen, right? Okay. All right. You guys got that again?
Yes.
All right. So hustling. You don't need to be fast. You need to anticipate your next movement. Sometimes you need to jog, run, and sprint. There are multiple times that you'll be going at different paces of play. Work to be in position even if you're tired. A whistle should not stop your feet. As I said, dead ball officiating is very, very important. Not everybody is fast, but we can all hustle. You will notice other officials that don't hustle, and the officials that don't hustle are going to notice you. The coaches notice the officials that don't hustle. The coaches and players notice the officials that do hustle. So use your energy efficiently. Let's not be lazy. Let's not burn our energy when we don't need to. Let's try to conserve when we can during those settled situations, and maximize our speed and hustle during dead ball situations. Okay. So when nobody is watching, if you're at a game and you think that nobody's watching, nobody's seeing what's going on, are you always giving it 100% all the time? Are you going to hustle when you're not being observed? How about in JV games? Are you working hard in JV games? Those JV games are those times that you can use to build up your endurance for the varsity games. You can work on your endurance for the varsity games in the JV games. There's always somebody watching. We know that there are always cameras at every single game. Even those JV games, someone is always videotaping and watching, and those videotapes always end up getting around, and there is a tendency of those videos getting to other people, whether it be board of directors members, the assigners, but those are the things that we look for when we start hearing, hey, this person, is looking to move up in the world of officiating. How are they doing? Are we hearing anything negative when there's nobody around watching them? And if we are, what is it? What are we hearing? And if we're not, we need to go watch and observe these people. So, make sure that you honor the game and maintain your integrity as an official, even when you're not being watched, and hustle as often as you possibly can. The little things matter. Establishing good habits. Being on time includes the pregame. Making sure you guys have a pregame. And as I said previously, the pregame can also be the night before. If you know you're going to be coming in hot for your game, it's okay to have your pregame the night before. There's nothing wrong with that. Being focused, being ready to go from the opening faceoff, being ready to go from the coaches' meetings before the game, taking your role seriously. Just because you're not the R in the game doesn't mean you don't have an important role in the game. The R is just the person that does the coin toss, ends up being the official scorekeeper if there's any questions about score. So the R is still going to end up asking you for your opinion. They're still going to rely on you to cover the areas of the field that you need to cover when you're working together. So you need to understand your importance and understand everyone has a role when they're out there at different points of the game. And sometimes your role is a minor role, and sometimes your role, all of a sudden, 3 seconds later, can be the most important role. And being able to turn those switches on and off and know what's going on, when it's going on, and understanding the situations that are presented to you in quick, fast-paced times are what's going to help you be a better official. Getting into habits can be good and bad. There are some habits that we'll get into that will be bad habits, and there'll be some habits that we'll get into that'll be good habits. I'm not perfect, so I know that some of my bad habits, the tone of my voice ends up being a little bit more demanding than I actually mean it to be, and I come off a little bit more curt than I'd like to, even when I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to relay an answer, but the tone and temperament of my voice ends up being a little bit more aggressive than it probably needs to be. And no matter how I try to change it, you can take the person out of New York, but you can't take the New York out of the person. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. So you'll learn as you work what are some of your bad habits, and you'll learn some of what your good habits are, and that's all in development. And as I said, it'll take about 3 years for you to get to where you really want to be as an official, to when you go to a game and you're going to be able to know that I can ref this game if my partner doesn't show. So rules, knowledge, and mechanics. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about the professionalism? All right. Rules, knowledge, and the application of it. Knowing the rules, knowing your mechanics. There's a mechanics rule book that I can send out an email to everybody, so that way you guys can all have it about where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do. But you want to be able to be consistent with them, and you want to be able to know where you're supposed to be and read through the USA Lacrosse rule mechanics book training manual, so that way you know where you are supposed to be in multiple different situations. Obviously, obviously study the rule book. If you can, get multiple copies. You could probably get a copy of the rule book through the USA Lacrosse and download their app, and that way you'll have the rule book on your phone and it'll be good. Whether you get the NFHS app, that's up to you. I actually have it. and because I've got multiple sports that I use the NFHS rule books for. When you're studying, try to be a student of the game and try to always keep going over, when I first start refereeing, the rules that are going to matter the most are going to be rules 4 and rule 7. I would be reading those rule books, and I would be reading those ARs. The more you read the ARs, the better educated you're going to be. Reading the rule book, quite frankly, can be boring, mundane, and just nauseating. But reading the ARs puts your mind in a different state, in a different situation. So if you can read the ARs more often, especially in rules 4 and rule 7, that'll help you, because a lot of those situations in the ARs are going to happen on the field. The ARs are like the examples, the questions on the tests. They're all out of the rule book. When you get your rule book, maybe you need to highlight some areas of concern. Maybe there are some topics that you have questions on. Maybe there are some situations that happen in a game that you're not quite sure of. Go back to that rule in the rule book, find out what the right answer is, and make a note of it somehow, some way. But like most things in life, hopefully you find out that the oven is hot the first time, and after you make that mistake the first time, you won't make that mistake again. So there is no way that anyone is ever going to go out there on the lacrosse field and referee a perfect game. So every game is an opportunity for education. Every game is an opportunity to make yourself a better official. So embrace that and understand that the end goal, listen, professionals wouldn't have practice if they didn't need it. All right. So why shouldn't we still practice too? Right? If professional athletes still go to practice, officials should still go to practice. We just practice things differently than what the professional athletes do. How we do our job, mechanics wise. The correct mechanics allows you to be in the best possible position to see the play. Making your adjustments as the play changes. Am I going to be below goal line extended? Am I going to be above goal line extended? Am I gonna cheat in a little bit because I think that there's going to be a play close to the goal, and I'm going to need to be able to help out to see that? Is there a situation where there might be a timeout going to be called by the coach, and I'm going to kind of stand back a little bit closer to the coaches' benches so I can hear that coach calling the timeout? Keeping your feet moving. You don't want to grow grass. You don't want to grow roots. All right. You want to be able to be on the lines that you need to be before the ball gets there. 95% of the time, if you use the mechanics from USA Lacrosse, you'll be able to see what you need to see. The easiest way to have a coach call you out is by not getting in the right place on the field at the right time. If you're in the right place at the right time when you're supposed to be there, then it really just comes down to him questioning your judgment. And that's not something that the coaches can argue. But if you're not where you're supposed to be, and you're not in the position that's the best possible position to make that call, you will then open up the window of opportunity, and they will jump through that window fast and furious and get on your case if you're not where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. It could be an end line, it could be a goal line, it could be a sideline. At any given moment, the ball moves fast and furious, and you need to be able to move fast and furious yourself. Okay. We want to move with the flow of the game. We want to move with purpose. Moving with purpose, to me, is dead ball officiating. All right. Getting to where you need to be when there's no play going on, getting to where you need to be is dead ball officiating. Anticipate the play and your next movement. Hey, you see that ball lying on the ground and it's a loose ball. I might need to back up a little bit so I can get a better view of what's going on with this dead ball situation. Anticipate, hey, we're at the end of the quarter and the team might be making a long Gilman shot. So I need to go and get down there and make sure that I understand that I'm not going to blow my whistle because the horn's going to blow. My whistle kills play. The horn kills the quarter, but the ball's still alive, and that ball can go into the net. So you want to anticipate those kind of situations. And you want to keep moving to see the play the best. Obviously, as I said before, on the goal line, that's going to be an area where you're going to be moving in, out, back, forth, and keeping your feet hot as you're running and moving on the goal line. Keeping your head on a swivel. Like defensemen always try to keep their head on a swivel. All right. When we mean by keeping on a swivel, everyone has a section of the field that we've already gone over that you need to cover. You need to understand when that section of the field rotates and you move your head from watching what's going on in front of the net to now you're watching somewhere else because the ball has moved to a different position. You're not watching the ball as trail on the shot, but you're staying with the shooter. All right. You want to be able to keep your head always moving and running when there's those offside situations, when there's those over and back situations, so that way you're able to make the call at, when it needs to be made. It's going to be tough to not be robotic in the beginning as an official, because there's so many things hitting you at one point. So eventually you'll grow out of that and you'll start understanding the flow and the movement and the feel of the game, the feel and tempo of the game. So at first you're probably going to be a little robotic and a little bit mechanical because you're trying to do your best, and that's all appreciated and that's great. But eventually over time, things, nobody does things perfect the very first time. So as those mistakes happen, and they will, and that's what makes you good, that's when that robotic feature of being an official is gonna change. So keep thinking one play ahead and keep your feet moving at all times. Standing still, even if it's just a settled situation, you can just keep moving in a circle. You can move in a 1 foot circle. That's fine. That's something. Once you just stand still, it's hard to get the engine running again once the engine stops, if you catch my drift. Especially as you're older, it gets harder and harder every year. Pre-game. This is when we start going to work, guys. We're going to socialize before we get the pregame or after the game. All right. The pregame is business. When we start having a conversation for pregame, everything there now means business. You're going to be setting the tone for the game. Solid pregames are going to get you focused and allows you to cover any of the topics that you're going to need to cover that gets you in the right mindset. You may be talking about previous game situations, talking about coaching tendencies, player tendencies. There may have been film that you watched of these teams, and you might have noticed something that you want to bring up in your pregame conversation. You're gonna essentially, if you have a question about penalty situations, then you might want to bring it up. Hey, in this last game, I made this call. Was it the right call? You're trying to get some feedback from other officials, even though if they weren't the officials that you worked in your last game. You're kind of looking to get yourself ready and understand what the game means, not only to you, what the game means to the players. Is it a rivalry game? Is it a game that means anything for playoffs? Is this game going to be a blowout game? Is there a team that is it a team that is a football style team and takes a lot of penalties? Is it a team that is a top down playing team? Is it a team that is a bottom up playing team? Top down means playing from the top of the box and running their offense that way. Bottom up is a team that runs their offense from behind the net. So the pregame, you're going to make sure that everybody has everything that they need. each official has brought extra just in case somebody's lace on their shoes breaks. Maybe their finger whistle is broken. Maybe their pencil is broken. But you're always prepared to help out each other and work together as a team. Okay. The table personnel are part of your crew. All right. They're part of your team. The scorekeepers, they have a responsibility, and there's expectations, and they need you to be helpful with them so that way they can be helpful with you. That means the way that you communicate the penalties to them. That means the way that you use verbal and nonverbal communications to them. If you need to explain things a little bit more thoroughly, take your time, because they might not know the lingo that we know, and you need to explain it. Test the equipment that's going to be there. I would be very shocked if there ever is a horn at some of these games. But if there is, just make sure it's ready. If there's not, hey, do we have access to a horn? Find out if they have what they need. Making sure you go over what their responsibilities are. Make sure they know what their responsibilities are. Who's keeping track of the penalties? Who's keeping track of the game time? Is the game time up on the scoreboard? Is the penalty time up on the scoreboard? Do we have access to different timers in case there's multiple penalties on multiple teams and we need to keep track of things? Being able to speak with them because they are your teammates. We don't need to get aggressive with them. We don't need to be kind of yelling at them. Finding out what their name is, asking before the game what their names are, so that way when you need to speak to them, you can call, hey Jane, I have, and then continue. I know that a lot of this stuff is a little bit repetitive, but it is that important that it needs to be repeated. It needs to be remembered when you're at your games, so that way you can conduct your game in an orderly fashion. If for some reason that there's some sort of confusion that you could have avoided because you had a good pregame meeting, as opposed to not having a good pregame meeting, time is money. The more time while the game is going on that you need to deal with the scorekeepers because you didn't have a good pregame, time is money, and it's going to take you longer to get out of there. So I suggest before the game begins, you definitely have a good pregame meeting with your table crew. Soft skills, communication takes practice. I already told you guys, my voice is too curt. My voice just does not come off properly, but I do say the things that I need to say. I try to use the word we. Whenever we have games, whenever there are games that are going on and I got a coach upset and I got a coach mad or something like that, I try to empathize, okay, or at least appear to empathize with the coach by to get him to get either one off the field, to get him to lower his tone and temp and maintain his composure. And I will flat out say, coach, we both need to maintain our composure here, coach. We both need to calm down. And I keep saying the word we. I don't say the word you, because now it looks as if I'm giving an order to him. When I say we, it then appears as if I am empathetic to his plight. I try to put myself in his mind as fictitious as it really is, so that way I can get him to feel that I understand the things that he's trying to get across. And it makes it so that way you can help them out and help the situation out a lot better. Having your when you're having your comments, when there's questions and stuff like that, you want to have a kind of a tone to it. So coach, he's got a question of you. You want to be able to be facing the field, and you want to be able to answer the question while you're still looking at the field. You want to be able to maintain your tone. You want to be able to maintain your level, and also not necessarily calling it rabbit ears, but know that the coach is understanding that the coach is vested in what's going on, and that he is not really trying to make it personal to you, but sometimes it can come across that way. Understanding those situations, understanding, you can't make that call is talk that, hey, he's fighting for his team. But when he says, you're horrible, you're terrible, well, now that's a different approach. That's him going at you. So understanding those communication skills that are being relayed to you, and understand that sometimes when the coaches use the word you, listen to what else is being said, because it may not be directly at you. It's them being competitive and not them being demeaning. Do you guys kind of understand the difference of what I'm getting at? So we want to try to make sure that we don't that if they escalate the conversations, you want to de-escalate these conversations. All right. As I said, the verbal judo, my verbal judo is using the word we. Here is an example in the picture. The coach is trying to essentially impose himself upon the official. The official is not looking at the coach in the eye. He is maintaining his composure. He is keeping his eye on the play with what's going on, listening to whatever that the coach has to say. And he is focused on what he needs to be focused on, but also listening to what he has to say. And there's nothing wrong with giving potentially a little bit of lip service, as it shows here. Did I miss something, coach? I may have missed that one, coach. It could be something that they're looking that they want some explanation. And it could be that they want an explanation on a call from a partner on the other side. So you could say, coach said, when I get a second, I'll go talk to my partner, and then I'll have him try to come over here and discuss things with you. But you also want to try to cool the coach down a little bit before your partner goes over there. You want to help your partner out, and use some sort of social engineering, so to speak, to get him to relax a little bit and to maintain his composure. So that way, if your partner does come over, your partner doesn't come into a firestorm, but he comes into a little kindling. I'm sure you guys understand what I'm talking about here. Assistant coaches that they can help you out, and more often than not, they hurt you. Assistant coaches, I have found, most of them, not all of them, feel that they should be the head coach, feel that they should have a say, they should have something to do with what's going on in the game. And sometimes a lot of the coaches have never been told that their opinion doesn't, it's just the head coach that speaks, and they don't even know that they're not even allowed to speak. So sometimes it may just be the naive assistant coach that's speaking to you and doesn't even know that he can't. It may be the first time that he is an assistant coach and isn't used to it. So when these conversations happen, understand that the head coach is the one that has the responsibility. Maybe the assistant coach might be the one that is the cooler head compared to the head coach. And you might want to go and use him as a tool to get him to calm down the head coach. So that way you guys can have better conversations to clear the substitution box. Anything that you can use to be able to manage your game better to your advantage, there's nothing wrong with using it. It may be the assistant coach. It may be the captain. It may be someone on the sidelines that can help you out. The teams might have a get back coach. Someone that can help you out to be able to maintain the composure of the coaches, so that way that irritated tone doesn't fall upon the players, and the players start having that irritated play out there on the field, making the game more complicated than it needs to be. So, in this situation, they're showing that there's a conference game or whatever. I've kind of given you guys the explanation about what to do. You know, you have an assistant coach that wants to start expressing himself, feeling that maybe he's the face-off coach and he's not getting. He feels that maybe he's being cheated on the face-off or something like that, or maybe, you know, whatever the situation might be. You know, get the head coach involved. Try to allow the team to regain their composure before you start throwing flags. Usually another coach on the sidelines will be able to have the composure enough to be able to rein in the coach that may be irritated. So, as I said, use those tools to your advantage, but don't rev those situations up. Don't start throwing gasoline onto the fire and allow those situations to escalate more than they need to. Sometimes there could be a conflict where maybe there have been just too many tight calls, too many calls that have happened on the official that's on the bench side, and things are getting a little bit cantankerous. You know what? If it's a time that you guys recognize that, hey, you know what, I need a break from this guy, can we switch sides or something like that? Switch sides. There's nothing that says you can't switch sides. All right, making sure that your mind is proper in the game is definitely something that's going to matter. So keeping your head in the game is going to be important. If it means switching sides, then go right ahead. Players, as I said, they're going to be an asset to you. These guys want to play. All right, that's what they want to do. There are times where sometimes the captains are not always the best people to have as captains. They might not have the best possible composure. They might not really understand the integrity of the game. They might not really understand communication skills and how to properly communicate, how to properly ask questions, how to properly address officials and stuff like that. So there may be another individual on the team that might not be the captain, and you might need to use that individual to rein the captain in. And that's an unfortunate situation, but it is the reality of it. Too many times coaches just put the leading scorer as the captain, but even though he can put the biscuit in the basket, that might not mean that he's the best communicator for difficult situations at the time. He may just see it one way, his way, and not be interested in listening to the explanation that the official wants to give him. So you definitely want to connect with the players. Obviously, you're connecting with the players in the captain's meetings and in the face-off meetings. Those guys are going to be some good friends of yours because usually those two face-off guys are Fogos, and they go in and they have their own little personal game. Team A and Team B face-off guys, they usually have their own little face-off game that they try to do, and they end up joking as the face-offs are coming out, and they start asking about each other's heads, and they ask each other techniques and whatever. And you know, they're even going to start. Sometimes I've seen them bashing their own teammates. So you know, those guys are really good to try to get them on your side to be able to help you out to manage the emotions of the athletes and the coaches, throughout the game. And talk to the goalie. If it's just thanks goalie, if he flips you the ball, if it's good save goalie, or something like that. If it's just, hey goalie, you're doing a good job communicating, keep it up, stuff like that. Those are the types of things, the positive reinforcement, to be able to make sure that the player that's going to essentially have the ball come to him the most is still got his head in the game. If he doesn't have his head in the game, who knows? Maybe things start happening where everybody starts getting aggravated. If he loses his composure and starts letting more shots in, then that's just going to trickle out towards the long poles, and everybody else is going to start getting pissed off, and then you're going to have penalty upon penalty upon penalty. So, you know, they are minors. So use your language properly, but use your language in an encouraging, positive manner. Mistakes, as I said, we will always make them. Every single person are always going to make them. And the more that you're going to accept your mistakes and learn from your mistakes, the more credibility you're going to have. Don't be afraid to admit to a coach when you've made mistakes. Don't be afraid to talk to your partners about mistakes that have been made, or don't be afraid to go back into the rule book, go into the mechanics book, and see what's gone on and what I could do to make myself be a better official. This is not a time for you to have a makeup call. This is a time for you to learn from it. Mistakes aren't fun, but we've said many times already, this is the learning process. This is how you become a better official, is by making mistakes. And each time that oven is hot, you're not going to make that mistake again. All right. Each time that oven is hot, you're going to learn from it, and you're going to not make that mistake again. Add your mistakes from previous games into your pregame. Discuss them. Maybe your partners never had those situations, and now you're being the mentor to your partner and you're helping them out. So when they happen, be able to understand and accept it and move on and know that you've just become a better official. Your crew, backing your crew up, being loyal. The crew is your team. Everyone on the crew is out to help each other out. No one is out to get each other. Your partners are gonna make mistakes, but you're not gonna throw them under the bus. You're gonna, if you need to blow the whistle and have a conversation about whatever mistake there was to resolve it in a timely fashion, then go right ahead and do that. There are some times when those mistakes aren't going to be able to happen, when you're not going to be able to correct those mistakes. That's fine. We will use those as learning opportunities. If you have a senior official that you're working with, they are normally your best mentors. They're normally going to be your crew chiefs. Ask them about questions. Ask them after mistakes. Ask them, what should I have done in this situation? And go over that. Go over that when you guys have halftime. Go over that in your post game. You guys are always working as a unit, and you're always trying to help each other out. You're not trying to sell your partner out to a coach or player. You're not going to tell, I can't believe you made that call. Oh man, that's this, that's that. You guys are a team, and your view is different than the view of your partner. And that's what your answer is. Coach, I had a different view of it. I was on a different angle. I didn't see it the way he saw it. I had a different angle of it. So let's not throw anybody under the bus, and let's live and die together as a team, as a crew. So your growth as an official, you're going to start off as a level 1 official, and you're going to probably be doing JV games and potentially even varsity games. Normally what we'd like to do, if we had enough officials in the state, we'd like to have the beginning officials just work the JV games and then move them in the following year into the varsity games once they've been able to cut their teeth. There are different avenues that you can go to get yourself better. USA Lacrosse has different Laredos. Those are training opportunities that happen during the spring and fall, where you can attend a tournament and you get mentored throughout the entire tournament. It's a really great way to improve your skill set. I know that Paul Brand and I know Charlie Bond, they've gone to these Laredos and they've worked out really well. Eventually, after you've done a few years in lacrosse, you may think about moving into being a NILOA college official, and there'll be additional training for that and those kinds of things. But understanding the level that you're at right now, then making a goal, where do you want to get to, and how is it that you're going to get there? The more continuing education that you do, the more self-evaluation that you do, the more that you ask people for help, the quicker it is that you're going to become a better official. Being able to improve is going to be dependent upon you. The amount of time and effort that you put in is going to have a quick effect on your progress as being an official. If you get done with this and then just referee and just that's my training and that's all that I've done, then it's going to take a longer time for you to become a better official. The more times that you do things to try to help get yourself better, the quicker that you're going to be able to move up the ladder. Officiating is a responsibility. Listen, I've been an official for lacrosse since 2000. I've been an ice hockey official since 1989. Right now, I have 2 friends that I still keep from high school, and all the rest of my friends are all officiating friends. Guys I play golf with, guys I hang out with, they're all official friends, because there's a bond, there's camaraderie, there's a level of respect that we have for each other, a level of horseplay, a level of locker room talk that we have that makes it fun. And when it's fun like that, you always want to help your partner out. You always want to help your friend out. You always want to do what's right for them. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be different paths that people are going to take, and different speed that people are going to have as far as getting better and improving as an official. Age is going to be one of the things that's going to be a factor. Physical ability is going to be another factor. All right. But it comes down to being your responsibility. It's not somebody else's responsibility for you to get physically fit. It's not somebody else's responsibility for you to know the rules, for you to know your mechanics, for you to know your policies and procedures. That information is out there for you. And if that information is hard for you to find, then the telephone is there for you to call someone to then get that information. It is a great job, a great gig, a great side gig, and you guys are going to really enjoy it. And I hope that you're going to really enjoy it. But everything that's worth its weight takes effort to get there. So this is the beginning of the effort that it's going to take for you to get and become a really good official, and an official that's going to be wanted, needed, and counted on throughout each and every single lacrosse season. This is the first step in a long process, and I'm still in that process. We're all still in that process. We're all still working and striving towards making sure that we're always putting our best foot forward and not being the anchor in the crew, and we're helping each other out, making friends, doing what we need to do, and being in there and out of there, and moving on with what we've learned, and just having a good time, making sure that lacrosse refereeing, for the most part, you will have a good time. You're gonna have bad experiences, but on a whole, you will enjoy yourself and you will have a good time. So that pretty much wraps up what we had going on here today. I want to thank everybody. I especially want to thank Ryan for all the time that he spent getting on here, being my tech support and doing all the things that he needed. Without Ryan's help, this would not have been as successful as I think it has gone over. I thank all you guys for participating. So if you have any questions about anything right now, ask away.
Yeah, Steve, I think I need that Arbiter link as well.
Okay, Jack, no problem. So I'll get Scott Joe and Jack, I'll get each one of you guys, I'll send an email with your email in there to Tom Gregg to then get you guys to on the Arbiter system, okay?
Thank you.
So does anybody have any questions about this whole process, about what we've done, about what your next steps are, about anything like that? All right, so the 18th is going to be a video. What I'm going to do is I actually lost my guest speaker, and it's going to be a video that's going to go out to the entire chapter. So I'm going to make sure that you three guys are in on the chapter arbiter site, so that way you'll get that email that way about that 18th meeting. And then also the 21st is our rules meeting that everyone has to attend that day. That's from 9 a.m. until noon on Saturday, January 21st. Does anybody have any questions about anything that we've gone over throughout this entire weeks? And, you know, it looks like it was a 2-week process.
Nope.
Guys, I really want to thank you very much. I appreciate you getting involved in the sport and helping out. Your efforts are not going to be forgotten. And we will look forward to working and seeing you guys throughout the season. All right.
Okay.
Thank you
Steve,
very much, guys. Have a good night.
Steve, you still on?
Yeah, I am.
Thanks, Steve.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead, shoot.
On the 21st, if I have practice that day or a scrimmage or something, I still have to do this, the 9 to 12, right?
It would be in your best interest to definitely be there because, you know, I mean, it's our one rules meeting of the entire year.
Okay, I'll work around it. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Hey, where is that rules meeting?
It's going to be a Zoom meeting, just like this.
Oh, okay.
Yep, this is going to be the last year that we're going to have the rules meeting on Zoom. Next year, we're going to be going back to in-person rules meetings, and then we're going to do it that way starting next season. All right. We all good, everybody? Guys, have a great night. Thank you very much. And talk to you soon. Bye.